Welcome, everyone, to techdaily.ai.
Hey there.
We're diving deep today into something, well, absolutely central to how millions of us use tech every day, the iPhone. Specifically, we're breaking down the major updates previewed for iOS 26.
That's right. Apple just gave us a big preview of what's coming this fall, and honestly, there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, definitely seems like it.
So our mission in this deep dive is really to cut through all the noise, find the most important stuff for you. What are the key features, the biggest changes, and maybe most importantly, how will they actually impact your day-to-day with your phone?
Think of us as your guides, basically. We're navigating the roadmap Apple laid out so you can understand what really matters for, well, the next version of your iPhone.
Exactly. Helping you get up to speed quickly and clearly, but with enough detail so you feel like you've actually grasped the core of the update.
Okay, let's do it. And before we jump right in, this deep dive is sponsored by Stonefly. They're your trusted solution provider and advisor for enterprise storage, backup disaster recovery, hyper-converged VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox clusters, AI servers, and also public and private cloud.
You can check them out at stonefly.com for more info.
Right, stonefly.com. Okay, let's get into it. First impressions. The look and feel. I hear there's a pretty significant visual refresh.
Yeah, that's probably the first thing you'll notice. Apple's calling it a beautiful new design for iOS 26. And the big buzzword is liquid glass.
Liquid glass. Okay, that sounds
Yeah.
fancy. What is it actually?
It's basically the foundation for this new aesthetic. Think of it like a new translucent material they're using all over the system.
Yeah.
The idea is it's not just flat,
Yeah.
It subtly reflects and refracts whatever's behind it. Your wallpaper, your content, even stuff moving around.
Oh, okay. So it adds a kind of depth. Like the interface isn't just slapped on top, it interacts more.
Exactly. That's the goal, to bring focus to your content, but also add some, vitality to the controls and navigation elements.
Where will we see this? Like controls, buttons.
Yep. Controls, navigation bars, even parts of app icons and widgets. It seems like it's going to be pretty widespread.
And this goes right to the home screen and lock screen, too. Those are super personal.
Absolutely. Liquid glass is meant to enable more personalization there. They talked about a stunning, clear look for icons and widgets,
You mean?
meaning they might become more translucent, letting more of your wallpaper show through while still being easy to see. Kind of cleaner, maybe.
Less visual clutter, more you. I like the sound of that.
Precisely. And beyond that general look, there are some specific visual tweaks, like on the lock screen, the clock display.
Yeah.
It apparently adapts now. It fluidly changes its size and position to kind of weave around important parts of your wallpaper image.
Oh, that's neat. So we'll just block someone's face in the photo.
That seems to be the idea, yeah. Intelligently avoids key elements. And they also mentioned spatial scenes for wallpaper.
Spatial scenes, like 3D.
Sort of. It adds a 3D effect that reacts as you move your phone. Makes the image feel like it has layers, gives it a subtle depth when you tilt it.
Kind of like parallax, but
Yeah.
maybe more advanced. Sounds cool. Makes the lock screen feel more alive.
Yeah, alive is a good word for it.
What about inside the apps? Are the core Apple apps getting this treatment?
Definitely. Several key apps are getting redesigned. The camera app, for instance, supposedly getting a simpler, more streamlined layout.
Getting controls out of the way.
Exactly. Focus on the picture. And the Photos app is updated too. It'll have separate tabs now for your main library and your curated collections.
Oh, that could actually be useful for finding stuff. My library's huge.
Right. Should make navigation a bit easier.
Okay, Safari. Huge app for most people. What's changing there visually?
Safari's got a noticeable shift. Web pages are meant to flow right from the very top edge downwards. More immersive, maybe?
And you still get to refresh and search easily.
Yeah, they said actions like refresh and search are still easily accessible as you scroll. One source mentioned the address bar might become transparent too.
A transparent address bar.
Hmm.
Interesting. And anything on the privacy side for Safari? That's always a big topic.
Actually, yes. This is pretty significant. Advanced fingerprinting protection. It's being turned on by default for all browsing.
Wow, okay, that's a big step against tracking.
Huge step. Makes it much harder for sites to track you across the web without you knowing.
Good. What about media apps? Music, news, podcasts?
They're getting a redesigned tab bar at the bottom. It kind of floats, looks more dynamic.
Floats.
Yeah, like when you're browsing, it shrinks down a bit, puts focus on the content. Scroll back up, it expands. Responsive.
Subtle, but probably makes a difference.
And some reports mention moving album art in Apple Music too, adding to that visual flow.
Okay, this liquid glass thing sounds pretty fundamental. Can other app developers use it too? Or is it just for Apple's apps?
No, that's key. They're giving developers new APIs to access these liquid glass materials and components.
Ah, so third-party apps can adopt the look.
Yep, which should help the whole system feel more cohesive and, well, modern.
So pulling this design section together,
Hmm.
what's the main takeaway for someone listening? Why should they care about liquid glass?
I think the insight is that Apple's aiming for more than just a cosmetic change. They're introducing this new design language, this material,
Mm,
to make the interface feel more dynamic, more responsive, more tied to your content. It's about making your iPhone feel, well, more alive and expressive from the moment you pick it up.
more alive.
Got it.
Okay, so that's how the phone will look and feel. Let's pivot to what it can do, because a huge part of this update seems to be powered by Apple Intelligence.
Right, yeah. Apple Intelligence is not just a buzzword they're throwing around, it seems deeply integrated. The idea is to enhance the core experience and make tasks easier, maybe even automate some things.
Okay, give me an example, like live translation.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's integrated directly into Messages, FaceTime, and even the regular phone app.
So it translates text and audio on the fly.
Exactly. Between different languages, right in the conversation.
That feels genuinely useful, like transformative if you communicate across languages often. But the processing,
Mm.
where does that happen? Cloud? On the phone?
That's the critical part Apple is hammering home. It's handled by Apple's own models running entirely on device.
Okay, so my private conversations aren't being sent off somewhere.
Correct. That's the core privacy pitch. Your calls, your texts, translated locally on your phone. It's a big differentiator they're pushing for their AI approach.
Which languages are we talking about for messages initially?
For text and messages, it's English, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese from Brazil, Spanish, and simplified Chinese.
And for voice calls on phone or FaceTime?
It's a smaller set to start. English, French, German, Portuguese, Brazil, and Spanish. They say more languages will come later.
Okay. Beyond language, this Apple Intelligence is also supposed to understand what's actually on your screen. Visual intelligence, they called it.
Yes, exactly. It extends the AI to recognize and interact with content you're just looking at across different apps.
Like how? What can you do with that?
Well, imagine you see, say, a picture of a cool jacket on a website. With visual intelligence, you can maybe ask ChatGPT questions about it or directly search Google or Etsy for similar items, all without leaving that page.
Okay. Makes finding or buying stuff easier if you see something you like.
Right. Or another example, event recognition. It can scan text on your screen, maybe in an email or a web page spot, details like a date, time, location for an event.
And then,
And then intelligently suggest adding it straight to your calendar, pre-filling all those details for you.
oh, that would save so much copying and pasting. Seriously.
Yeah.
Is that on all phones, though? Or does it need newer hardware?
Good question. That specific event recognition feature does require a newer device. Specifically, the upcoming iPhone 16 models or the current iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max. And it starts in English.
Got it. So
Yeah.
some of the more advanced AI needs the newer chips. Makes sense. Apple Intelligence is also about creative stuff, right? Like Genmoji?
Definitely. New tools like Genmoji and Image Playground. Genmoji lets you create custom emoji by mixing existing ones, other Genmoji characters, and just describing what you want.
So I can make an emoji of, I don't know, a disco dancing sloth.
Pretty much, if you can describe it. And Image Playground is for more complex image generation. It has different styles, some using ChatGPT, and they mentioned more control for creating images inspired by people, like your friends and family, getting the likeness right, but in fun styles.
Okay, creative tools. What about shortcuts? Are they getting smarter too?
They are. Shortcuts are becoming more powerful, more intelligent. There are new intelligent actions that
Yeah.
tap into these Apple Intelligence models. Meaning, you can build shortcuts that do things like summarize text automatically, create images on the fly using Image Playground, or generate smart replies within your shortcut workflows. Plus, dedicated actions for writing tools and Image Playground.
Adds a whole new layer to automation. That's cool. And something for online shoppers. Order tracking.
Yes, this sounds super convenient. Apple Intelligence will automatically find and summarize order tracking details from your emails, from stores, from shipping companies.
And puts it all in one place.
Exactly. Lets you see all your order details and get progress updates consolidated, even for stuff you didn't buy with Apple Pay. No more digging through emails for tracking numbers.
That sounds genuinely useful. Okay. And for developers, there's new framework for this AI stuff.
Correct. A new foundation models framework. This gives any app developer access to the on-device foundation model that powers Apple Intelligence.
Why is that significant?
Because it lets third-party apps build in powerful AI features that are fast, private, since they run on the device, work offline, and crucially, using the AI model for inference is free for the developer. It could unlock a lot of cool new features in apps you already use.
Okay, so summing up Apple Intelligence, what's the big picture here for the user?
I think the core insight is your iPhone is becoming much better at understanding your content, what you're doing, maybe even what you need next. These AI features aim to streamline tasks, remove friction like language barriers, unlock creativity, and critically do it while prioritizing privacy through on-device processing. It's moving your phone from just a tool towards being a more proactive, intelligent assistant.
That privacy angle with AI is definitely key,
Yeah.
especially on our phones. Okay, let's switch gears. How are these updates helping us manage, well, the constant communication, interruptions, notifications, all that?
Right, the focus on staying connected and eliminating interruptions. This is about refining the phone and messages apps mainly, trying to cut down the noise and make the interactions you do have more effective.
Starting with the phone app, I heard something about a cleaner layout.
Yeah, they're simplifying it. A unified layout combining favorites, recents, and voicemails into a single view. Quicker access.
Okay. And for those annoying unknown callers, anything new there?
Yes, building on live voicemail, there's a feature called call screening.
Call screening. How does that work?
It basically automatically answers calls from unknown numbers for you without your phone fully ringing. It then asks the caller for their name and why they're calling.
And you see that info.
Yeah, it gets transcribed in real time on your screen before you decide whether to pick up, ignore it, or let it go to voicemail.
That sounds like a really powerful filter for spam and telemarketers. Does the transcription work in different languages?
Yep, call screening supports a good range. English, US, UK, Australia, Canada, India, French, German, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin Chinese, Portuguese, Brazil, and Spanish.
Nice. Okay, but what if you're the one calling someone and get stuck on hold? Anything for that.
Ah, yes. Hold assist. This is pretty clever. If the system detects you're on hold waiting for a person, Hold Assist can notify you the moment it recognizes a live agent has actually picked up.
Seriously. So you don't have to listen to that awful music forever.
That's the idea. Save you time and, frankly, sanity. It supports English, French, Spanish, German, Portuguese, Brazil, Japanese, and Mandarin Chinese.
That could be huge.
Yeah.
Okay, moving to messages. What's new there for managing the flood?
More control, basically. You get better tools to screen messages from unknown senders.
How so?
Messages from numbers not in your contacts go into a separate folder. They're silenced until you interact with them. You can mark them as known, ask for info, or just delete them. But importantly, it's still easy to grab those two-factor codes that often come from unknown numbers.
So it cleans up your main list without hiding important stuff. Makes sense. What about making chats more fun or personal?
They've added custom backgrounds for individual message threads. You can use built-in ones or your own photos.
And I guess you could use that image playground AI to generate a custom background too.
Exactly. Tying those features together nicely, they're also adding polls directly into messaging.
Like setting up a quick vote in a group chat.
Yep. And Apple Intelligence might even detect when a poll could be useful in a conversation and suggest creating one.
And other group chat improvements.
You'll finally see typing indicators in group chats, see when someone's actually replying. And for users in the US, you can request, send, and receive Apple Cash right within group chats.
Okay, so summing up these communication updates. The key benefit.
It's really about helping you manage the digital noise, you know? Call screening and Hold Assist give you back time and focus. The messages updates give you more control over who reaches you and makes the conversations you do have more dynamic and personalized. Filter the distractions, enhance the connections.
Makes sense. Okay, from managing communication on the phone itself, what about when the phone is plugged into your car? CarPlay updates.
Yes, CarPlay. Apple mentioned it's used over 600 million times daily now, which is wild. They're bringing updates focused on beauty, ease of use, and safety.
So the new liquid glass look extends to the car screen.
It does. Brings that consistent, expressive look into the car. And a key safety thing, a new compact view for incoming calls.
Compact view.
Yeah, instead of the call notification taking over your whole map, it appears smaller, less intrusive, so you see who's calling without losing your directions.
That's a smart safety touch. What about messages in CarPlay?
Messages gets tapbacks and pinned conversation support right there in the CarPlay interface. Makes quick replies and finding key chats easier while driving.
And staying informed without getting distracted.
Widgets and live activities are being integrated better into CarPlay, so you can get glanceable info, weather, calendar, flight updates, maybe without needing to fiddle with apps and take your eyes off the road.
All right. And these updates are also part of that bigger CarPlay integration story we've heard whispers about.
Exactly. These improvements are part of and also lay groundwork for what's sometimes called CarPlay Ultra, that deeper integration across multiple car screens, potentially controlling things like radio and climate.
So for the regular CarPlay user today, what's the main takeaway?
The insight is Apple's making that in-car experience safer, more intuitive, and visually consistent with your phone. Better call handling, glanceable info, making the iPhone helpful in the car, not hazardous.
Good goal. Okay, beyond core communication and the car, what about other big apps? Music, Maps, Wallet? Any key changes there?
Starting with Apple Music, yeah, some interesting additions, especially around lyrics.
Lyrics? Like what?
They're adding lyrics translation, helps you understand song words in other languages, and building on that, lyrics pronunciation to help you sing along more accurately.
Huh. Okay, that's cool for karaoke nights or just understanding global music better. Anything else in music?
A feature called Auto Mix uses AI, apparently, for seamless DJ-style transitions between songs.
Auto mix. Like beat matching.
Yeah, time stretching, beat matching, smoothly blends tracks together so the music keeps flowing without jarring stops. And like we mentioned, maybe some moving album art visually, too.
Makes the listening experience more continuous. Okay, Apple Maps.
Maps gets an optional feature called Visited Places. It can remember places you've been, restaurants, shops, etc.
So you can look back at where you've gone.
Yeah, see them organized in Maps. But they stress the privacy angle here.
How's that handled?
End-to-end encryption. Apple says they can't access this Visited Places data. Stays private to you.
Good to know. Any other intelligence in Maps?
Yes, on-device intelligence can now learn your typical commute routes, home, office, whatever.
And
It can proactively show you your preferred route when it thinks you're heading out, notify you about delays, offer alternatives, and it adapts if your routine changes.
so Maps gets more predictive, more personal. What about Apple Wallet?
Wallet gets some useful tweaks. For payments, an option to use installments or apply rewards directly via Apple Pay for in-store purchases.
More payment flexibility at checkout. Travel stuff.
Boarding passes get a refreshed look and support live activities for real-time flight updates, gate changes, delays right on the lock screen, plus easier access within Wallet to related info like airport maps or Find My for luggage.
Handy for travelers. And digital ID.
Ability to create a digital ID using a U.S. passport. Use it at TSA checkpoints, potentially in apps, maybe even in person where accepted.
Okay, practical improvements across the board there for music, Maps, and Wallet.
Definitely. And beyond those big ones, there's actually a whole raft of other noteworthy features tucked into iOS 26.
Like what? I heard something about a dedicated Games app.
Yes, the Apple Games app, a central hub for gamers. Find games, jump back in, discover new ones, see what friends are playing, achievements, recommendations, integrates with Apple Arcade too.
Makes sense to consolidate that. What about AirPods features?
New stuff for AirPods 4, AirPods 4 with ANC, and AirPods Pro 2. Enhancements for studio quality audio recording and clearer calls building on voice isolation.
Anything else for AirPods?
Yeah, a neat camera remote feature. Press and hold the stem on your AirPods to take a photo or start-stop video on your iPhone or iPad.
A remote on your earbud. Kind of cool for hands-free shots. Parental controls get updates too.
Yes, easier setup for child accounts, wider controls. Things like parental approval for contact requests, blurring sensitive content in FaceTime or share albums, and granting exceptions for app age ratings. Important stuff for families.
Absolutely, and accessibility. Always a big focus for Apple.
Continues to be. Powerful new features like Accessibility Reader for customizable system-wide reading, Braille access with a new interface for Braille displays, plus updates to Live Listen, background sounds, personal voice. Apple called it a new level of accessibility.
Great to see. Any other app updates? Reminders. Journal.
Reminders get smarter with Apple Intelligence suggesting tasks based on emails or texts and automatically categorizing related items into list sections.
Organization help.
Journal. Journal gets support for multiple journals, adding images in line with text and a map view to see entries by location.
Nice additions. And finally, something small but maybe mighty in the Clock app.
Customizable snooze. Yes, you can finally set the snooze duration from 1 to 15 minutes.
The people have spoken. Okay, that is a really packed update. So much going on across the whole experience. When can people actually get iOS 26?
It's coming this fall as a free software update.
And which iPhones can run it?
It's compatible with iPhone 11 and newer, plus the iPhone SE second generation and later.
But for those Apple Intelligence features, the fancy AI stuff, you need specific hardware, right?
Yes, that's important. The full Apple Intelligence suite requires newer chips. So that means the upcoming iPhone 16 models and the current iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. For iPads and Macs, it needs M1 chips or later with Apple Intelligence enabled.
And language settings matter too.
Right. Siri and the device language need to be set to a supported language like English, French, German to start, with more coming.
Okay, so check your device model for the full AI experience. And if people want to try it early,
Developers have access now, and there'll be a public beta available next month for anyone brave enough to try it before the final release. Thinking about all this Apple Intelligence, especially the focus on doing so much on the device for privacy, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
wonder what?
Well, what does this on-device approach mean for the future of AI on our phones? How far can that intelligence go while staying purely local? There's got to be a limit to the processing power or the model size you can cram onto a phone, right?
Yeah. It's this constant balancing act.
Exactly. Between making the AI incredibly powerful and responsive and the absolute necessity of keeping our personal data private and secure on the device itself. It's a fascinating challenge.
That is a really interesting point to ponder. Where does that balance eventually settle? Something for all of us to think about as this tech evolves.
Definitely food for thought.
Absolutely. Well, that was a fantastic deep dive into the big changes coming with iOS 26. It's clear there are significant shifts in design, a huge push with Apple Intelligence, better communication tools, and improvements across so many core apps.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be a really substantial update, touching pretty much every part of how you use your iPhone.
A lot to look forward to this fall. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We hope this helped you get a clearer picture of what's coming.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
And remember to check out Stonefly for all your enterprise storage, backup disaster recovery, hyperconverged solutions, VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox clusters, plus AI servers and cloud options. They even have a 100 TB immutable and air-gapped SSO NAS for just $8,995. That's stonefly.com.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.